Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Yan. I hope you lot are doing well. Welcome to today's video, which is a Chelsea news video, or more actually a speculation on what Chelsea can actually do news video to save their season. Obtain top 4, secure top 4, really just bring someone in to convert these wasted chances, the recurring narrative theme of Chelsea. Create a lot of chances, don't kill games off, then collectively panic, and obviously just the story ends with them conceding because that's the way narrative works. There is a transfer window open currently, and Frank Lampard is starting to reiterate over and over, Chelsea need to strengthen, they need help, we are trying to make signings, etc, etc. So we're going to talk about that in this video. Who could Chelsea actually bring in to realistically help their season? A few players to talk about in today's video, but before we do get into the content, I want to request that you there subscribe to Football Therapy if you've not yet done so. Please do hit the bell notifications icon. Why not like the video to help me out? Alright, let's get into it. So there are days left now before the transfer window slams shut. At this point, the frustration from the Chelsea coach is noticeable. I think he really does want Chelsea to make a signing to help them bolster their chances of securing this top 4 spot, essentially via finishing chances, basically scoring goals. Frank Lampard was questioned on whether they want to look at bringing in defenders. He said it's not a priority position at the moment, and I kind of get that. Chelsea are not perfect when it comes to defending, but if you look at a lot of their goals, it often comes through a collective panic from not killing off games and being in a vulnerable position. Chelsea's big priority thing at the moment is capitalising off all this pressure they bestow upon their opposition when they're just camped outside the opponent's box but not scoring goals. Creating chances, no goals. So Chelsea needs someone to score goals, and probably needs to be a centre forward. It's all very well bringing in wide creative attackers or wingers, but at this point they need someone to pretty much stand in the 18-yard box, 6-yard box, and put the ball in the onion bag. That means put the ball in the goal. So you're thinking centre forwards. Obviously Chelsea were recently and heavily linked with PSG striker, the big Uruguayan Edinson Cavani, but it does look like, and you know what, I speculated this a couple of videos back, that he wants to go to Atletico Madrid, and that's what makes sense probably the most for him in terms of securing a long-term contract and actually being involved in a bit of a project, as opposed to coming to Chelsea where you cannot speak the language and know you're just there as a sort of panic emergency hit button moment thing and get a short contract in a different country where you don't speak the language. Now, I'm not saying Edinson Cavani is completely off the table, because if a deal with Madrid can't be struck, PSG might be looking, he might still be okay to come to Chelsea if he gets a lot of money. It could still happen, but it's looking highly unlikely. But it's a shame because he's almost exactly what Chelsea need in the short term. An 18-month contract, perhaps, for a really experienced 32-year-old who just literally won't lose his head in these moments where Chelsea are panicking around the 18-yard box. He'll just score goals. And then the game can calm around him, and perhaps Chelsea won't panic collectively, concede, or who knows, they might go and score more goals generally because the game's more settled. Plus, remember, it's about killing games off. That's Chelsea's problem, because the opposition need to think they're not in the game anymore. Problem with Chelsea at the moment, their opposition always feels like they're in the game. Chelsea coach Frank Lampard has reiterated this from earlier in the season, just as he's doing now. So let's put a pin in the defence. Sure, Chelsea might bolster eventually. Who knows, they might even buy a centre-back, definitely a left-back, maybe even a goalkeeper by the looks of Kepa recently. But provided they're converting some of these chances that they're creating, they should be safe in the top 4. So they need someone to score, probably a centre forward, but if it's not going to be Cavani, who's it going to be? Well, obviously the most heavily linked striker other than Cavani has been Mousa Dembele of Lyon. He makes more sense in terms of a long-term vision for Chelsea, and Chelsea have been looking at him ever since he was at Fulham, Celtic, that kind of thing. 22 years old, he's in form this season as well. He's used to scoring goals this season, and he might make sense in terms of a longer-term project. Lyon themselves have recently signed a new forward, perhaps to replace Mousa Dembele, with expecting him to leave this January. You could also argue it's to sort of help out with the absence of Memphis Depay. Still, it could be to replace Mousa Dembele because maybe they've accepted the inevitability to a certain degree of selling him for loads of money, almost certainly way over the price he should cost. A few other teams are actually in for Mousa Dembélé, but it had been rumoured that Dembélé has actually agreed terms with Chelsea and would be happy to join the South West London club. And as a striker, especially looking like Tammy Abraham might be injured, that's really, really important. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. There's another 10 days-ish in the market, and Frank Lampard does sort of insinuate that Chelsea are working hard to get things done. And we all know this, right? Let's just take a moment and talk about how Chelsea make signings late. They always have. They often do deadline day business. So just because there's been no business so far doesn't mean they're not intending, like, you know, Bruce Buck even came out with that comment about how they know they're signing someone. So we'll have to see. But strikers, Chelsea need a striker. So we'll keep tabs on Mousa Dembélé, but who else? What other options would there be? Well, obviously there's been strikers linked with Chelsea along the way, like the likes of Josh Maja, but they really want to sign someone that they have full belief in. Two of the names that come up around sort of European football at the moment is Piatek of AC Milan, who obviously came from Genoa, who had an amazing season there. It's gone off the boil a little bit. Maybe he could be an option, but again, it's another sort of risky move. A player that I think could be a really useful solution for the moment is Luka Jovic, a player that Chelsea were linked with before he went to Real Madrid. He's obviously an excellent player in poor form, low self-belief at the moment, so that's a risk in itself, but he can't get a game behind Benzema. Maybe Real Madrid would be interested in loaning him out to Chelsea to get him some game time, some confidence, get his wages off the book while he's not playing. And with Chelsea, it's a low risk in terms of not making a risky purchase, just taking like a sort of loan to bolster the rest of the season. But at the same time, it's risky in the same sense, because they might be putting all their eggs in this basket. That's a player that's out of form, you know. It's hard to say really with Luka Jovic. I read the comments on this channel, and of course a lot of people are often calling out for wingers like Hakim Ziyech, who's of course an excellent player, but it's peculiar how clubs aren't negotiating for him at all at the moment. Perhaps there's a reason that all of us don't know while he's not for sale, or perhaps clubs aren't approaching Ajax for him. And again, although he's an excellent player, good deliverer of the ball and superb dead ball specialist, if Chelsea are indeed thinking of the likes of Jadon Sancho in the summer, perhaps they don't want to touch Ziyech, and it might make more sense to wait out their long-term plan with Jadon Sancho. Of course, there's the likes of Jeremy Boga, an ex-Chelsea player who Chelsea have a buyback clause on for 15 million euros, which is not much. He's having an excellent season playing for Sassuolo out in Italy. Young player, might fit the sort of project plan as well. But the thing is, although he's scoring these 40-yard wonder goals after nutmegging players, and yes, Chelsea could have really done with said wonder goal against Arsenal, it's not enough. You need to play the percentages. You need to say, right, we're creating all these chances in and around the 18, but in and around the 18-yard box, if I can speak English, someone needs to be standing there and converting these chances. And that's why Edinson Cavani would have been perfect. But other than that, really you need a ruthless player that's in the mould of a centre forward. Buying a striker at the best of times is hard. They come out at premium, but buying one in January is very difficult. Look at Pato, look at Falcao, look at Higuain, you know? Sure, there might be a risk of buying Cavani similarly, but Cavani's been a ruthless goal scorer throughout his career, and I think his sort of physicality and mentality is probably what Chelsea are missing. Certainly that's what Chelsea coach Frank Lampard was saying when his name came up in a press conference. But the fact remains, Chelsea need to try and do something, because things are slipping and they need to take these chances. I don't want to be too reactionary, because there's a couple of things to mention. How Chelsea were against Arsenal, they were without Reece James and Christian Pulisic still. Now Reece James was Chelsea's best attacking player against Newcastle before he came off injured. He'll be hugely positive for Chelsea when he plays going forwards. And Christian Pulisic was the exact kind of player that Chelsea were missing against Arsenal. Someone to dribble into the 18-yard box with the ball at his feet laterally to either draw a foul or pop shots or combine. He was incredibly important to Chelsea before he got injured. He'd gone off the ball slightly, but it looked like he was improving under Frank Lampard. So with those two players returning from injury and maybe Chelsea coaching the midfield a little bit more, things should get better generally, but still Chelsea, like I said, need to play the percentages, do everything they can to offer themselves security, and they need to buy a goal scorer this January. And like I said previously, it would seem the Chelsea coach is echoing those sentiments. So it's a difficult one. Fingers crossed Chelsea actually get a deal done over the line. By all accounts, they're doing a lot of work, but it's getting someone through the door at the end of the day. We can't see what's going on behind the scenes, but you make sure to come back to football therapy every single day, sometimes even twice a day, and I will keep you updated with the news stories around Chelsea Football Club and the transfer window. But for the meantime, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Get down in the comment section, let me know who you think would be an appropriate acquisition or realistic signing this January that could actually help Chelsea score goals. Obviously Chelsea cannot sign Sancho or Werner this January, so who else is there? If Cavani wants to go to Atletico Madrid, who do they sign? Do they go all in for Mousa Dembele? It doesn't look like they can get another player from the Premier League. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed today's content, guys, please do like the video. Be sure to subscribe if you are new, and why not follow me on social media if that interests you. It's at Football Yannick on both Instagram and Twitter, at Football Yannick. The race is on, the window closes in a matter of days. What's going to happen? We'll find out soon. You lot enjoy the football, and I will see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.